Hey there, workforce. Chris here with Work to Game. You guys might have wondered why there was a pretty substantial drop in content from Brian and I here on the channel this week. Last weekend, a close friend of ours was found in his car, kind of unresponsive, and went to the ICU and fought for his life, and has ultimately passed away. So without going into too much detail on that, just kind of wanted to talk about a little bit about kind of my thoughts on Eric, and a little bit about how I'm kind of feeling now for my weekly post today. And then we are trying to get back into the swing of things, and there's no promise on that. So Eric was somebody that I went to college with, and I lived with a lot of Catholic guys in college, and so I met a lot of the other Catholics. It's a pretty tight-knit community out in Lubbock. And so I tried thinking back as he was laying there in that bed, kind of when the first time I met him was, because many people were talking about kind of these early memories of Eric, and I don't remember the first time I met him. It's probably been about 10 years now, and I think I probably met him maybe a dozen or 2 dozen times that first year. He was just kind of around the same groups of people, and in hindsight, I don't think I liked him the first year. I don't think I liked him at all. I think he bragged a lot, he boasted a lot, and would joke about things that I didn't always think he should be joking about. And I think as I got to know him through that kind of forced exposure, he got involved in some things that we both cared a great deal about. I got a chance to kind of look at him more as a person, as we were both in an age where we were both growing and maturing. And I think it took me a while to grasp that he wasn't bragging or boasting for himself, that he was just that proud of the people he cares about. And if you should be lucky enough to be one of those people, that he probably bragged and boasted about you. And it was always that he had the best and most talented wife, and that she was killing it at work, and they're doing the best things together, and he has the most beautiful daughter, and that he has the best, no matter what you're talking about, he has a sibling or a friend that has already mastered that. And I think once I realized that, there was a real beauty to that. And anytime something was going wrong in my life, when I started to notice that Eric defended me more than I defended me, and when my wife and I were looking at moving back from Washington, D.C. to Texas, I didn't immediately have a job lined up, and Eric was part of our group that played video games one night a week to just continue the relationships that we had in college. And I kind of told him that we were thinking about moving back to Texas, no real plan. He called me like 3 days later, and we didn't really talk on the phone much at the time. That was something that some years we talked a lot, and other years we didn't. And he already had like 4 jobs for me to consider, and one of them he had like an interview lined up, and he just went and did that. And I think that was when I really got a glimpse into the fact that I had this friend that I didn't realize how much I valued. And he had so much to give that he just wanted to brag and boast on those that he cared about, because he just wanted to give for them constantly. And him dying in his 30s is not something that I struggle with. People die. It's one of the only things we're guaranteed. And to sit here and focus on who deserves it and who doesn't based on the quality of their personality or their productiveness or their net worth or the fact that he had an 8-week-old daughter is a slippery slope, because you're devaluing anybody else. If I say he didn't deserve to die because he was young, I'm saying that people who are old deserve to die. If I say because he had a young daughter, then I'm saying people without kids. And so to go down that road is not fair. But I didn't realize until this week that there was an expectation that we would be given a cause of death. And as of today, there hasn't been one. He was just gone. And they ruled a lot of things out. He got admitted to the hospital with brain swelling, and now he's gone, and they can say that it was not a lot of things. So without exposing too much of his medical details to the internet, there's a lot of things that we know didn't go wrong. But I didn't know that I expected cause of death, with the exception of when somebody goes missing. Either kidnapping or hiking or plane crash where we just never recover a body. Those have always been tragic because of that. But to have somebody who was alive in the hospital to varying degrees for days, and that we have a full body left over, I'm really racking my brain on how to wrap my head around that. I never knew that I expected that cause of death was an expectation of all people. And it's not. It's not. And when I went off and looked it up, there's bodies that go all the way to autopsy, and still a percentage of the time never figure it out. I never thought about that. It's taken me all week to kind of process this. Eric was a good friend. He's loyal and giving and thought about others. He could come across as a little brash, and he could be a little rude. But once you got to know him, there was a predictableness to that, where it was just that he always defended things he cared about first and then asked questions later. And I have a lot of respect for him as a man and the family that he had started. He had like half a dozen careers, it feels like. He was always looking for the next big thing, the next big way to give, the next big way to do more for him and his family. And and screw the consequences. He always looked for the next big job, and just left a job with no real desire that he was ever going to go back to that job. So if somebody had done something wrong, there was no political correctness to tell him that he should be polite to them on the way out. Just tell them they're wrong and move on with your life. And we played video games the Wednesday before last weekend, and when he was found, and he was just his same old normal goofy self. And he and I had spoken on the phone the last several months a few times, talking about getting back in shape together, and because he put on a little weight when they were having a baby, and I kind of gave him a hard time about it when we saw each other at a basketball game to watch like a month ago, and we were set to play poker this weekend, and it would have just been him taking my money. He always wins, not because he plays well, but because he always gets the cards. I mean, even on the river. And so just as I think through all this life and all this, what was lost, I was in an ICU with, there was at least a dozen other patients there. And so it's not that I'm special, and it's not that there isn't other families going through the same thing and other friends going through the same thing. And it's not about whether or not I'm in a situation that was deserved or not deserved. But it's hard to process without knowing why. So this is just kind of a post I wanted to make as a tribute to Eric. Brian and I have decided that on this post we're going to leave the monetization on, and we're going to be giving the money from that to his daughter. And so over time, if this were to continue to get views, that'll just continue to be a check we write. I have to make sense of this. So I don't know how people just go right back to their life. Kind of brought everything to a stop pretty quickly. But I encourage you guys to think about what would happen. I encourage you to look at things like life insurance, things like a will, things like organ donation. Eric giving his organs is the most accurate and beautiful way to carry on his legacy that I can think of. It's not my call, it would be his wife's call, so that was a decision she had to make. But it's something I feel would be something he wanted. Don't leave that for your family to choose. It's a hard conversation to have, especially if you have kids and a spouse and all of that. But you should have a plan. You should have contingencies for what happens if one of the parents goes and things like that. Avoiding the conversation doesn't make this not happen. So I hope you guys are having a better week than Brian and I. I hope you guys are living a life that you don't regret and showing the way you care for the people in it as often as possible. Thanks. Thanks to those of you that did know for the support you've given. We'll try to be focusing on our better days to make videos, so expect some positive energy for tomorrow with the live letter. This is not that I can't have good parts of my day, and I'll try to hit record when that's happening, but it comes and goes in waves. So thanks again. Hope you guys take care. I'm gonna flip to a positive outro now, so have a good week. We'll see you next time.
Hey, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video. You should click over here to see more videos just like it, or you should click down here to check out our recent vlog. But you can also click somewhere down here below to hit the subscribe button, as well as check out our other info. Again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.